Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to another singles ink profile. I just picked one out of the 439 inks. What do you think of that? Okay, so today we're going to do Monteverde Copper Noir. This is a beautiful ink and it's been sitting in my collection just waiting for me to try it out. And I've been writing letters with it and I just find it very beautiful. So let's jump right in. Let's get it into the bath test. See how it does with that, and then I'll give you a quick update on the last ink profile. So the last one I did was Pelikan Edelstein Star Ruby, and it did turn out to be very typical fountain pen ink. It did the vanishing act almost, you know, you can kind of read it, just barely. And it did clean out. I gave it an A on the clean out. It did really well with that. It almost ended up with a B because cleaning out that Lamy converter took several more flushes than usual, but I still didn't think it deserved a B just because of that, because it did clean out just fine. So there we have it. Okay, we'll let that work a little more and we'll get into the Rhodia Gold book. And wow, I was looking at this and it's filling up. I just have a few more pages, so that's interesting. I'm all set with another book though, all set. So here it is over here. And it's just gorgeous. And I happen to have it in 3 pens because I have it in the Serendipity, and then I have it in the Kaweco Perkio with a medium nib, and then the usual Lamy fine nib in the Vista. So you're going to see these little boxes throughout the review because it got a little confusing for me too. So I tried to kind of indicate. So this was the broad nib, this is the medium nib, and this is the fine nib. So my first impressions, wow, I just love this ink. I've written several letters, I think 3 now, full pen pal letters with it, and it's just a very pleasing color. It's like, you want to wonder, you want to think about it and say, is this brown, is this orange? No, it's kind of a mixture, and it's very, very pretty, like a rusty colored ink. It shades quite well in just about every nib, but it's hard to pick up on the camera. Now, it's not drastic shading, but to me, it's just nice, pleasing shading. And this is the chromatography down here. You could see that it in the strip, a little steel gray kind of color of a little semi-permanent stayed in there, and then I can see a little pink as it rose, and then orangey yellow, and even red at the top. So that's going to explain a lot later on, if you'll remember that when we look at the comparisons. So I've got several notebooks with which I have written with this ink. I guess my order is a little out of order this time, but this is the little Moraman spiral notebook from Daisico. And here it is. I didn't have a whole lot of room to write in here, but I liked how this displayed the color. This really does show how it goes from that light orangish looking color all the way to a deep rusty brown kind of. And it just is a very pretty ink. And then down here I didn't even have room except for to write just a little. I wrote with the broad nib, the medium nib, and the fine nib on this paper. But we'll see a little bit more of a sample on the rest of the papers. Maybe it tried to bleed through just a little here and there, but it was just really nice, well behaved and pretty. So then we're going to hop into the CVS Caliber memo book. This is a 4x6 notebook from CVS Pharmacy in the US. It's very inexpensive. Oops, and then here it is. So its ability to write on this paper and still be seen well and have a good flow says a lot about the ink. So I wanted to point that out. I didn't feel like it was scratchy even with the Lamy fine nib. So we went from broad nib to medium nib. There wasn't a whole lot of difference when I dropped down from medium to fine. From that Kaweco nib. So this is the Perkio pen and it's got a medium nib in it. And then the Vista has a standard Lamy fine nib in it. So then I did the little boxes here to kind of give us a close-up. There wasn't a whole lot of difference. The Kaweco nib was just a little bit wetter. And I believe that's a Yowo nib, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that till I do a little more research because I'm still learning. So, but anyway, we had a really good luck on that notebook too. Okay, let's hop into the Leuchtturm 1917 dot grid notebook. This is my little tester notebook so that I know for bullet journaling what to expect from these inks. And here it is, very pretty on this paper. I thought it may lean a little more toward orange on this paper, but we're dealing with an ivory paper too. So the little boxes may help keep you from getting too dizzy. They're the broad nib, the medium, and the fine. And you can see the difference on this paper between the medium. There was a little more shading on the medium than there was on the fine. But just no problems, and it shows up really well. Oh, I forgot to say thank you. This sample is from pen friend Donna S, and I really appreciate it. It was a really nice sample, and I've gone and used most of it because of the fact I've been writing letters and I filled 3 pens instead of 2. So it was really a treat to be able to do more than the 2 mil affords me. Okay, now this is a little different, but I did write in the Cafe Note, and I'm soon going to have a new Cafe Note B6 Slim to show you because I did purchase their little graph one just recently, and it came in the mail. So that, you know, I was panicking because this is running out, and this is my favorite journal for writing and for updating, you know, health things, and so I only had a few pages left. But here is Monteverde Copper Noir on this paper, and I was pleased with it. Very, very nice. You see the shading. It picks up the shading really well on here. And I was just scribbling, writing a little health update, and I've been trying to balance things so that I don't lose any more weight, but that I keep, you know, building strength and taking care of other things better. It's so interesting because between the intermittent fasting and the low carb, I have to be careful because I'll just keep losing weight. And that's not where I want to be right now. I want to keep my strength, and I want to keep... not that I don't want to lose fat. I want to convert that fat that's left to muscle. Anyway, didn't mean to get on a tangent here, but so this is, I filled this in with the broad nib, and so let's flip back and see whether that went through, because that was really nice, and it did not, you know, like look bad or bleed through real bad onto the other page. It just is a show through. So this is a really nice ink for journaling too, I think. Okay, so there's that. And the reason I didn't do this one last, because I wanted to keep live notes last so we can compare Tomoe River papers. This is the live notes from Pen Gallery, and it has 68 GSM Tomoe River paper. Okay, so here it is. And I saw quite a bit of that orange coming out here, but we have to keep in mind that this Serendipity is a hybrid pen. It's a dip pen with a regular fountain pen nib and feed. So I do end up with, you know, having to redip occasionally. So, and when it lightens up, you get that contrast, you know, like where when you start out, it's darker. So I have noticed that there's some there's some interest there, and I may start using a broad nib in a regular pen, but I just love this pen so much. But for review purposes, I'm actually thinking about changing that. We'll see. Because it's a favorite pen. Anyway, here we go, and I don't mind it. Even in a letter, I don't mind seeing that gradual fading, and you get to see the ink in all of its different faces. But here it is in the broad nib, and keeping in mind that it would be darker in the beginning of a dip. And then here it is in the medium nib and the fine nib, and I did the little boxes because I thought that might help us see the different widths. But there's not a lot of difference between medium and fine. Anyway, there's shading here that I can see, and I liked it a lot on this paper and on the other Tomoe River paper. So it bled through just a little where I painted it in, but that's very common. That has happened. You can see that on other pages in this little notebook too, or insert. So let's keep this handy though, because now we're going to go, and please pardon me, I've got more paper ordered and it should be here soon, but I'm having to use the back of this page because I'm just recycling, because I don't want to not show you what it looks like on the 52 gram white paper. So here it is with the broad nib here, the medium and the fine shading, and and it begins to look a little browner maybe in these nibs, but I love it. I just love it. I like a complex ink anyway, and it did bleed through a little here. So that, let's see, let's compare the two. Keeping in mind that on the right we have the 68 GSM, and it's on kind of an cream color, and on the left we're dealing with white paper. So that's going to, but even to the eye you see these drastic differences. What you're seeing is very close to what I'm seeing with my eye. It's not like the paper is completely distorting it, it's just how it appears to us, I think. So anyway, you know, I don't see a drastic difference other than the fact that this probably needed, the nib must have needed dipping, and I should have gone ahead and done that. But I do think that's pleasing anyway, that orangish looking that's coming out. Okay, I could talk about this forever, but we've got more paper. Let's get Clairefontaine 90-gram French ruled paper. Very pleasing on this paper. It's warm. The color, you know, really stays true to itself on this paper, I thought. So that made Clairefontaine and Rhodia a real good choice for this ink, in my opinion. I got, you know, there was shading in the, even in the broad nib, and shading here in the medium, and some in the fine, not quite as much maybe in the fine nib. But I just thought it was beautiful, and I did try to do those boxes. Let's see. Maybe tried to go through to the back, but that's only show through. That's nothing that would bother you, I don't think. Or it doesn't bother me. Okay. So now for Rhodia 80G dot pad. This is ripped right off of a larger dot pad. Same thing. Lots of shading on the broad and the medium, and I liked that very much. And it kept its warm, darker tone. It was just really pretty. And there it is, you know, painted on. It shows you how drastically it can go from, you know, looking at a dark brown, rusty color to almost orange or like a autumn oak kind of color. And then on the back, it did not go through that, so that was nice. Okay, one more paper sample. Georgia Pacific 20-pound copy paper. Okay. So there was significant feathering. Let's see if I can get it up there where you could see it. It's hard to show you. But significant feathering in the broad nib. And then I thought it was acceptable in the medium and fine nib. You know you're going to have some feathering on this cheapy paper. But there wasn't bleed through in the writing portion, just where I painted it on. So that's something to take note of. Not bad. Okay, so we're going right toward one of my favorite parts, which is the color comparison. Let's stop in on this test. Okay, so that's exactly what I thought. Because of the chromatography showing us that steel gray line, that's what we're getting. You can still read it, but it's lost all its color, and so that's just the pigment. So we'll just leave that to be fair, because all the inks get taken out as soon as I get done taping, which is, that gives them approximately the same amount of time. Okay, I'm going to get that out of the way. All right, so now comes the comparison time, and I may have to shift things around, but I'm going to start in the middle here with Monteverde Copper Noir. This is our ink of the day. And the closest that I could find to this ink was actually a shimmer ink. It was Diamine Brandy Dazzle. And I put S because it's a shimmer ink. So in terms of just out and out shade in my collection, or in my samples, I felt like that was the closest. And then another one that was close but no cigar was Monteverde Joy Sepia. It veers toward brown, so it's just not as warm, not as orange or red. So there it is on the other side. And I thought that was cool. Okay, so then we get into the interesting stuff. You know, where we get to pick out the different colors. Diamine Autumn Oak is much more orange. So let's put that maybe down below here so we can just kind of keep it handy. This system is new, so it's really not going to be perfect, but you know, as long as you can see it, I'll be happy. Okay, here's another one I thought deserved a mention. Kyoto Tag oh, I knew how to say that at one time. Moonlight of, okay, I don't know how to say that either. This was in an ink flight, and it's an orangish, brownish kind of ink too. Let's put that on top there, just to kind of keep it close by, because you can probably see where I'm going with this. There are like 3 ways you can see this ink. You can see it for its brown, you could see it for its red, and you could see it for its orange. If you're talking about Monteverde Copper Noir, it's very complex. So then I wanted you to see, where does SBRE brown fall in? Well, that falls into that warm brownish orange, and yet let's put it over here beside Diamine Autumn Oak, because there's a difference between those two as well. You can't just say that this is completely orange when you look at it next to Autumn Oak. So let's see, here comes Robert Oster Cafe Crema, and we end up over too far on the brown side, you could tell, as far as comparing it to Monteverde Copper Noir. So I'll put that here just for the grins, I guess. I know I've got lots more room, but the last ones that are coming up are way off the deep end, like this one. Noodler's Habanero shows you when you go all the way with the orange, you know, even compared to Diamine Autumn Oak, you're talking about a huge difference. And definitely you're out of the ballpark with Monteverde Copper Noir. But I wanted to compare it anyway. And then we're going to go into the browner browns that have some red kind of in them. And I'll probably take away the ones that I think are... Yeah, I'll probably do that. But let's start with Tasha Cha, or Chi, which is tea, I guess. And this is a brownish reddish ink, but you see how much browner that is? I'll put that here for now. Okay, I don't have too many more. Okay, this was one that definitely deserves to be probably front and center. Noodler's Antietam. This is definitely got red in it. And it can fool you, and it can look brown, sort of, you know, and it rusty. So actually, let's move Monteverde Sepia over here for now. Now I can see that the whole thing needs, you know, this is where you get to see my OCD a little bit, but that's okay. Oh, I wanted that in the middle. Okay, I want it closer to there, so let's not worry about it. We'll just do a pyramid, I guess. Math, science, something, right? Oh boy. Now I'm talking Big Bang. I'm thinking of Sheldon, so I have to talk about Big Bang. Okay, this is the last one. Oh my goodness, you could tell it's Monday morning. Monteverde Canyon Rust, which I thought in the beginning would be the head-to-head competitor for looking just like Monteverde Copper Noir, but no, it's much more red, and it even helps us to see Diamine Brandy Dazzle as more reddish. See, instead of orange, like Copper Noir, which is today's. Okay, I've really done it now. Let's see. We'll just make a pyramid and take some of these away. So Monteverde Copper Noir is still in the middle, and everything is crooked, and it's going to make me crazy. But like I said the other day, I'm still working on this, you know, a better system maybe to compare inks. But the main thing is that you get to see what I'm running through my mind about it, so that you could see what I have available that compares, sort of. Let's see. Did I take away something that was... Well, actually, the Tasha tea or cha or whatever it is, you know, it's not exactly the same. It's much more brown, but there it is. And, you know, we've already seen that habanero is way off the deep end with the orange. And then this one here is it's worthy of consideration, because you may like that better. You may not want it quite as rusty dark. So that's that Kyoto ink, which those were really nice inks, I remember. I didn't like them quite as much as I liked the Tasha inks. So now I've thoroughly scrambled us, and anybody who doesn't like crooked things has probably already left the video, but okay. So what do you think of this ink? I like it. And oh, I do have one more thing to show you, my visual journal. So we'll scoop these up in a minute. But I like it. It's nice, and it does kind of remind me of Noodler's Antietam, but you can't, if you want to go more orange, then I think the Copper Noir would be the way. And if you want to go more reddish, then the Antietam would be the way. So let's scoop these all up now that I've scrambled and fried all of our brains. On a Monday morning. And let's look at the visual journal, because it did tell us a few more things. It was very complex, but it didn't hold its own with the water, so I didn't end up with this beautiful little scenery that I had envisioned. But it does give you a lot of contrast, which I love in this kind of an application. It definitely did. Oh, I did that thinking I was going to make that wet to give you a better, and I never did anything with my little tic-tac-toe there. I guess we could do it now, but it would just make a mess. So you ended up with at least 3 distinct kind of colors, like a light orange, a dark rusty orange, and that kind of a, not quite gray, but brownish gray that was left behind. And over here, it really fuzzed out and was underwhelming, really. But you could see some of those permanent elements staying where I came in, and I did dot over here, trying to do something, I'm not sure what, with my pen. So there you have it. It was still worth doing, even though, you know, a lot of times the inks will be more spectacular. But anyway, that's for another day. When we get a spectacular one, I'll show you. I want to show you what's next. The next ink profile, I decided, not randomly, but I just decided, was going to be Ackerman turquoise. And there's another word, I don't want to try French because I'm not really sure, or whatever that is. But it's pretty, and it came in a long time ago from pen friend, I think Mike, and I've got plenty of it. I've got at least 3 mils. So I'm going to show you this one next as a profile. And then there are some things that are coming in the mail that will help us to have more things to look at soon. So thank you very much for being here, and enjoy your week. Bye for now.